Many familiar faces on the pitch.
Jonathan David!
A different leadership off it. A new journey begins under Mauro Biello and the new staff he's assembled. What changes has he made to the squad? How will they perform under his charge? It all starts with a friendly against Japan. It all starts right here on OneSoccer. Yes, the Canadian men are back. This morning they take to the pitch against a Japanese team ranked 19th in the world. A sellout crowd of 40,000 inside Denka Big Swan Stadium is expected. Can the Canadians rise to the occasion under new leadership? Let's get you ready for all the action. Canada, as we say good morning and welcome inside our OneSoccer studio. You're watching Matchday Live presented by CIBC. Annie Petrillo alongside Jordan Wilson and Christian Jack. I hope you have your coffee in hand. If you're one of those strange people like our friend KJ over here, maybe you need a tea to get your day started. That's okay.
No Ted Lasso jokes.
Easy.
I'm not going to make any dirty water jokes whatsoever here, but I hope you have whatever you need to get your day started. And we thank you for starting it with us because we get to see the Canadian men once again. The last time we saw them was July 9th. That was at the Gold Cup. Quarterfinals, they bowed out at the hands of the Americans in penalties. We know Japan, gentlemen, they've played 2 games in September. Now, a lot has happened since that game July 9th. In particular, they have a new coach, an interim coach, Mauro Biello, as John Herdman has now entered the pro game. He's the head coach of Toronto FC. And this game is going to be crucial, not just because we're curious to see what Mauro Biello is going to do with the squad, but he has to prepare for games at the end of November, CONCACAF Nations League, which also act as a qualifier for Copa America. So how crucial, KJ, is this game here for Mauro to even see what he has?
Yeah, it's enormous for lots of different reasons. I mean, I think right at the very top of the list is obvious. The interim coach, Mauro Biello, has got a lot of things, a lot of objectives that he needs to tick. But what we shouldn't lose here is lose sight of the fact that it's the opportunity for these players to come together and play again. You know, they haven't been together for 4 months. Many of these players didn't even play in the Gold Cup again either. You know, they've been through, you know, some different, like everything that club football can bring up. Some are in very different form. Some players are playing really well. Some players are out of form. But when it comes back to the national team, what do they always tell us? It's like a different club team, right? So that's what they need, Jordan, is that the ability to connect again. And I think it's a fascinating approach to go to Japan and play one of the informed teams in world football in a very difficult environment. But to come together and bond there, this is what these players in this group needs.
Yeah, it's a test. It's a huge test. And you get to see what you're made of. And I think when you're going to play Japan, in Japan, with this group of Canada that we know is dangerous, we know that how well they can do. But you got to test yourself against the best. I think this is crucial for today, just to get back to performing well and having a feel-good attitude. We know about Nations League final loss. We know about Gold Cup trying and experimenting new players. But we want to just get back to that raw Canada, that Canada that made everyone believe. They were just pressing. They were scoring goals. It seemed like they were having so much fun. So we want to see that today as well.
Yeah, and the last time Canada played Japan, that was in November of 2022. It was a 2-1 victory for the Canadians. Cavallini getting a goal by way of penalty in the 95th minute. 3 times they faced Japan, 1 win, 2 losses in total. So let's take a look at Canada's starting 11 here, brought to you by GE. Who is Mauro Biello going to go with? It appears to be a 3-5-2. Maybe we can get into a little bit of a debate there. A lot of fans feel like that could expose the Canadians. They wanted to see 4 at the back. Alphonso Davies, this is the big one that a lot of people were asking about, and even in particular, I asked Mauro Biello about this when he released the squad because Davies was listed under defender, and I said, oh, does this mean you're actually going to play him as a left back? And he praised him as being that world-class left back, especially with Bayern. But KJ, it does appear he's going to be playing a little bit more of a wing-back role still.
Yeah, look, I think that's fine. I think that's ultimately, there's a lot of flexibility in the squad in terms of a lot of debate about back 3, back 4. I don't think it's too much of an issue for me. You can look at one way in possession, one way out of possession. You know, for me, the Alphonso Davies story needs to be settled. I think it's pretty clear now that John Herdman even settled it after the World Cup, where they said that Alphonso Davies will be a left-sided player now. And I think, you know, for me, Mauro Biello used a word in the media this week when asked about it, and the key word for me was maximize. It's about maximizing the best of Alphonso Davies in that position now. And look, this is a player that is excels at the elite level week in, week out in training every time in an incredible pressure environment by Munich, playing in the Champions League, and is still in that growth spurt, not even 23 yet. and then I think needs to take that intel and bring it to Canada and be comfortable. And so he can excel in that position now. And I think that's really crucial. And then for me, the rest of his teammates can then rely on him a little bit more. Prior to that, when he was a bit of a maverick, wanted to play a bit more of an attacking role, sometimes Canada could get disjointed, and some of the other players would look on and say, we don't think that you're getting the best out of it for us. You know, it's not just about what you want, it's about what is best for the collective. And this is best for the collective of Bayern Munich, and it's best for the collective of Canada as well.
KJ, Andy, it's the old adage, okay? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Left wing back, when he has 50 yards of space, he takes over the left side. Don't drop him in the 10. Don't play him right wing. Don't mix it up. Play him where the boy can excel and where we can get the most out of Alphonso Davies, which is left wing back. You'll hear him going down the left side tonight. You'll hear him go down the left side. You can always play on that and build and build. Moving him around, that is just depleting his game and depleting what we can get from him. So play him down the left side, which I'm excited to see tonight. I promise you there'll be product.
You know what may or may not be broken? The midfield. No Stefan Eustachio. He picked up a knock on Sunday playing for FC Porto. The Canadian squad did assess him, and they realized it was too much of a risk to have him play. So he's back with his pro club rehabbing, and Stefan Eustachio is huge in that midfield. Are you concerned?
Yeah, because he's undoubtedly an irreplaceable player. First of all, I want to say this. Eustachio got hurt playing Sunday night at 11 o'clock in Portugal, was on a flight the next morning at 7 a.m., flew to Japan, didn't feel his best, but went there anyway for his national team. And, you know, Jordan, there's been a lot of players in the past who wouldn't necessarily have had that commitment. So every credit to him to do that. But this is the areas for me in midfield where they've got to be better, and some of the key areas we saw, particularly in the summer.
Yeah, this is the Nation League final against the U.S. And KJ, you were there at this game, and I guarantee you at the pitch level, you saw Canada being stretched. You see here with Larin as well, he loses the ball as strikers do at times. But look how open this Canada side is, right? And how easily Weah can just bully past midfielders, and they can just go and attack Canada's back line, right? This is an issue for me when I'm even watching the World Cup. Just stabilizing that middle, having two dogs, whoever it might be. I know tonight Piet is going to have his hands full with Japan and how they play, but just being strong, being stable, being firm, right, and having that balance in the midfield. Even here, when you see David, Larin, this stretch, one ball, this is what leads to the 2-0 goal in the final. Just how stretched this Canada side is. I think tonight will be huge, or today will be huge for Canada to just be so close, be compact. That's what you're asking from midfielders, to just be a bit more safe, protect what you have a bit more. And then that's where Canada can build from.
I think protection is the good word that you use for me. You know, ultimately, we understand that Canada can be flamboyant, charismatic, exciting. You use whatever adjective you want in the transitional game. But the transitional game can happen even with a bit more of a midfield block. You know, you don't necessarily have to just have everything guns blazing with or without the ball. I think it's a little bit less chaotic. I think we're going to see, particularly in a game like this, where we're going to get into them in a second, but if you play that high press game and you be a bit more elaborate against Japan, they'll just pick you off. Yeah. You've got to be smarter. And I think, you know, particularly in international football where you don't get a lot of time with the players, you have to make sure that it is protection mode, and you can still have the excitement of what you've got going forward.
And to your point, KJ, I think if Canada have a midfield that is solid, it will allow wing-backs, David, Larin, to get those moments where they have support, right? I think when they're stretched and you can play through Canada, it just makes it a harder day for everyone. So I think if they sit, if you can have a Piet and Kone just being stable, really connecting, then wing-backs can go forward. Osorio can have some joy. David and Larin can have some joy as well. And that's what you want to see from Canada, right? But that all starts from stability.
It's an area of issue. It is an area issue, though, because they don't have a lot of depth in that position. That's a concern.
They want joy, but I don't know how much they're going to get taking on an opponent like Japan. Let's take a look at their starting 11, brought to you by GE. And this is a squad as well that's undefeated in their last 4 international matches. They've outscored their opponents as well in those 4 games by a total of 18-4. KJ, how dangerous are they?
Extremely dangerous. I watched the game recently against Germany, and they ended Hansi Flick's international career when they scored 4 goals against them. And by the way, it could have been more. Ter Stegen was marvellous in that game. You know, they've got some key players who aren't playing today. You know, Kamada, Doan, Shibashaki, Mitoma. There's a few players who aren't playing for them. But when they played this game, for me, it was mind-blowing. Just how they opened up a German team that is obviously low on confidence at the moment. Jordan, I also got the pleasure of watching them twice live in the World Cup. And I have to say, you know, for me, the way that they let the ball do the work, they're so outstanding in tight spaces, and their passing range, a lot of the time left and right, they have so much balance that when you go and defend against them, they create areas of passing lanes that you don't expect. And it's just that area of unpredictability. They're such a fun, dynamic team to watch. You can see how much that country has embraced them, and it's just a fantastic football nation now. This will be an enormous test for Canada and hopefully a joy for people to watch because they are fun to watch.
Yeah, they are a joy to watch, Japan. And we talk about that 4-1 win against Germany. 3 of those goals come from crosses, KJ, right? Japan are so good at combining, getting it out wide, and then just gambling in that box, right? Just getting that foot on it. And they almost don't care who scores. Very selfless, very relentless. This is an energetic and dynamic side, a huge test for Canada.
A lot of talk of what we can expect on the pitch, but when we come back, we're going to take it off the pitch. Interim coach Mauro Biello, what can we expect under his tutelage? How much of a factor can he actually play in making this a permanent gig for him? It's Japan, Canada. It's a friendly right here on OneSoccer, and we continue to get you ready for all the action. Stay with us, Canada.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate without breaking the bank? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of ultimate chicken sausages and hot dogs. Choose ultimate taste and value, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
We created Carlsberg 0-0 because even the best things can be better with alcohol-free beer. Clean, one-handed backhand is better. Balancing stuff is better. Whatever this is better. We created Carlsberg. Skipping your own ad is better. Parking in space, better. So, can the best alcohol-free beer make good things better? Probably.
And the United States, it's always something special. And tonight, we expect no different. It's that ball into the area, knocked out and knocked in. It's Chris Richards who got to it first, straight through Milan Borjan. And the U.S., just like that, takes a 1-0 lead. Look out, here's Reyna. Balogun fires it past Borjan. Make it 2 for the U.S. And that's it. Back to back in the Nations League for the United States.
We've got to get serious about winning a World Cup. When you play at home, you get a chance to win it. You get a chance to get to a semi-final, a quarter-final, semi-final, and then get on that road to win it. And we're not serious. We've brought a World Cup to our country, and we're not serious about winning it.
First reported by Joshua Cloak of The Athletic. Toronto FC, as we know, gentlemen, they're in the search for a new head coach, and we're starting to hear that they have shown interest in John Herdman.
Our new head coach, John Herdman.
This is the time. You feel that in your gut, you feel it in your heart, that there's a moment, it's time to step off and go and fulfill another dream.
For the longest time, in fact, since 2012, when you thought of Canada Soccer, you thought of John Herdman. He began with the women's team and then in 2018 took over the men's team. And we know that he has done some incredible things with both sides, Olympic medals with the women, taking the men to their second World Cup ever. But now he's gone. He's entered the pro game, head coach of Toronto FC. And here's the thing, KJ, when John Herdman left, he took his entire staff with him as well, with the exception of Mauro Biello, who was an assistant with him. Now, Biello is the interim head coach. How challenging has this been in the 5 weeks that he's taken over to basically also rebuild this coaching staff?
Yeah, it's an enormous challenge, but I think one that he's certainly, well, I know for a fact, speaking to him, that he's called a privilege. You know, played for the national team, just loves this country so much. And, you know, you and I had an opportunity to cover him quite often when he was Montreal head coach too. So this is not something that is unfamiliar to Mauro. Working with big personalities, by the way, you know, Ignacio Piatti, Didier Drogba, like he's done it. Do you know what I mean? So, look, the other thing to say about Mauro Biello is he's just a class act. And everybody who's around him loves Mauro. So that's a great thing to have in the camp. I think the fact that he gets to pick his staff is important for him. I think it's a good thing in a way that John Herdman has taken a lot of people with him to Toronto FC, because I think Mauro has the opportunity to set his own standards a little bit. And he's told us over the last 5 weeks it was important for him to connect with every player and listen to them and take back their feedback, some things that maybe they didn't want to say in the previous tenure. It's just fresh, it's just different, you know, and this is this is just a natural cycle of sports, in particular this sport.
I think with Mauro Biello as well, you're looking at, I don't say it as well as you, Biello, but you got to go with people that you trust, right? So it's either earning his trust or solidifying it. I think that's the time to players that you're seeing in the lineup as well. You don't get second opportunities many times in football, right? They come here and there like a bloom. Like, this is a time to really say, you can trust me to go and perform. I will show up for you and just create that bond. I think as an assistant, you get to observe. You don't make those final decisions. But now he has that understanding, has that trust from players, and he can go and execute that.
Tell you what, if you have an espresso in the morning, you'll be able to say his name.
Biello.
There you go, little Illy coffee. And it sounds like they're having fun too. Just a couple nights ago, they had, I guess, what they're called the initiation, where everyone went up and sang a song. So we're trying to figure out who's going to be on the next Canadian Idol here and actually make a career of it. But it sounds like they're having fun. They obviously know Mauro Biello, but here's the thing. Is he a legitimate contender to actually be Canada's head coach? Get rid of the interim tag.
Of course he is. Absolutely is a legitimate contender. First of all, he's in the spot now, so that helps. And obviously, you know, I think what needs to be discussed in all of this is that Canada Soccer have established, for those who don't know, and I'm sure if you're awake with us right now, you do, but they need to hire a general secretary first. Yeah. And so we know Mauro is in charge, not only for this window, but also for November window, as we alluded to, the crucial window of Nations League, to get to the Nations League final, which is important too, by the way, and also to get to qualify for the Copa America next year. So we know that he's got these opportunities, and this is an audition for him. He's used that word himself. And why is that timeline important? Because Canada Soccer have said we are not hiring a full-time coach for this program until we get that general secretary. So this is a 2024 hire. So yeah, he is in pole position right now. Look, there's a lot of people on the grid who want to win that race, but he's right at the front at the moment. And the other thing is that players are going to have a big say, and the players right now get to see what he can do for them. And I think that a lot of the players right now will be very happy with what they're hearing from Mauro. So he is a legitimate contender because he's Canadian. He's played for the national team. He's got head coaching experience. And when you go down that list, there's not that many of them left. Yeah,
and he has the respect of the group, which is huge, right? When you have players that trust you and there's that partnership between coach and player and that family bond, right? I'm not saying it has to be dad and son with everyone, but you have to be a family. You're on the road together, you battle together. That needs to be there. But I think with this group as well, with Canada, you need someone that can challenge them tactically. I think that's where they're at, who can bring out the most of, we talk about Davies, but just as a group. That's how I always judge a manager, is how you bring out the most out of the 25. So if he can do that, I think he's a contender for sure.
Well, we know he's going to be in charge until the end of the year, and that includes those 2 games in November, CONCACAF Nations League, very crucial matches. As we know, it's all about qualifying for Copa America. So their opponents still yet to be determined, November 16th and 21st. You can watch those games right here on OneSoccer. Well, the last time they played Japan, as I mentioned earlier, that was in November, but that was in Dubai. The last time they actually played in Japan. I mean, is that a young Jimmy Brennan? My goodness. It was 2001. It was Confederation Confederations Cup. They earned entry by winning Gold Cup 2000. So that was the last time they were in Japan. There's a look at Greg for us. We've got more coming up on Matchday Live.
This match.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer.
CanadaSoccerStore.com is the official home for the widest range of Canada Soccer licensed product, match jerseys, and fanwear.
It's Matchday Live presented by CIBC. Kickoff is just around the corner in Niigata, Japan. You can already see the fans piling in. Expected 40,000, a sellout crowd. Japan fans show up. Going to break, we showed you the last time the Canadians played in Japan, 2001 Confederations Cup. I asked Jimmy Brennan, I said, what was the crowd like then? He said it was packed. They show up. They love their football. Welcome back inside our OneSoccer studio. Annie Petrillo, Jordan Wilson, Christian Jack. Good morning, Canada. Perhaps more of you have joined us right now. We're getting you set up for Canada, Japan, this friendly here, the two crucial games coming up end of November. This is the first game under interim head coach Mauro Biello, and we wondered who the captain would be because this isn't the first game without Atiba Hutchinson. He wasn't at the Gold Cup summertime, but it's going to be Milan Borjan wearing that armband for this game at least. What do you make of that decision?
Yeah, I'm not surprised whatsoever. Like, ultimately, I know there's a lot of external pressure on Milan Borjan from a lot of fans and a lot of people wanting to see the new wave of goalkeepers. Maxime Crepeau's back and playing fantastically. Thankfully, he's healthy, but he hasn't been having a long runway of games. Dane Sinclair's obviously had an exceptional year within MLS. I'll say this, though. Milan Borjan has a tremendous amount of respect in that locker room from his peers. And Mauro Biello is in an audition phase. Why would you want to change anything like that at this moment? The other thing quickly is that he's played a lot of football since July. This is someone who's played 10 European games. He's played in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers. He's played Europa League qualifiers. He's now playing Europa League Conference League. He's playing high-level football. And so I think that gets lost a little bit in terms of Milan Borjan gets talked about as this leader, Jordan, all the time, and that's what he brings. But he's playing in really intense environment in Slovan Bratislava right now as well, and playing very well.
Continuity. You can't change too much if you're Mauro Biello. You can't go and change the tactics. You can't go and change captains. Like, you need to keep the core and the group the same. Yeah, the freshness that you might add, maybe with the medium block, that's something that Biello's going to bring. But the group leaders, he's watched this group. He knows the guy to step up. And that is Borjan. That is someone who is respected. That is a presence. So I can see why he's captain today.
Yeah, and obviously he has a short-term goal of wanting to do well November and then even next summer. But then you have other players like a Luc de Fougerolles who's been called in, where Mauro Biello has admitted that he is looking ahead to 2026. Nice blend in the squad that's been called up here, that's for sure. The fans are ready. Are you ready at home? We're bringing you Japan, Canada, this friendly inside Denka Big Swan Stadium, and it's right here on OneSoccer. Gareth Wheeler, Jimmy Brennan have the call in English. Matt Cullen, the call in French. Stay with us. Canada men's national team on OneSoccer is brought to you by the Toyota Corolla family.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
Degree 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree keeps working when others stop.
Think you've seen tough? You've seen nothing. When you're absolutely drenched and still take the final shot? Not even a challenge. Playing extra time under the beating hot sun. Hardly sweating. When the wind's so chilling it cuts to the bone? Now we're getting somewhere. Playing in Canada's tough. We're not sorry about it. Want to beat us? Come on. We're made for this.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Welcome back to Matchday Live, presented by CIBC. Canada's starting 11 includes Derek Cornelius, KJ.
Yeah, absolutely delighted for him. You know, ultimately, we just spent the last 25 minutes talking about a lot of things, about stability, consistency, regardless of club form. That's sometimes the case in international football. For example, Kyle Larin deserves a spot. He hasn't scored yet for Mallorca this year. But you've got to reward players if they are playing well. And Derek Cornelius has had a bit of a rough time over the last couple of seasons. Struggled at the Whitecaps, particularly under Marc Dos Santos. Then backed himself to go to Europe and has been playing wonderfully for a big club in Malmo, where the pressure's on every week to win games. He's playing outstanding football. He's a great leader. He's a good guy as well. And I'm really happy to see him, because in an area where obviously Stephen Vittoria is still involved in the squad, they need to get fresher, they need to get younger. He only played one World Cup qualifying game away in Jamaica. He didn't get many more chances. He was injured in the summer tournaments. This is a big game. We've already talked about this. Look at these players, these Japanese players, absolute superstars. It's going to be a huge test for Cornelius, but I'm delighted that he's in.
What about Sam Piette getting the start?
Enormous night for him. I think that if you're Sam Piette, you got to break up play. You got to have a great performance. KJ, we talk about it all the time in football. You don't get these opportunities to go and really get a second chance, a second impression. This is that time. People talk about Eustachio in the midfield. He needs a partner. He needs someone to go break up play. Can Sam Piette be that guy? These are the matches that put you in that position to be talked about, that earn a coach's trust. So I'm hoping for Sam Piette, he could just start guns blazing and really go after it this match.
All right, well, the players taking to the pitch, getting set for the anthems, working on some audio. Just a little bit of a technicality issue coming from Japan right now, but we will be working on it to make sure you can hear the anthems and get you ready for the game. It's a friendly Canada-Japan on OneSoccer.